Boeing 737 Cockpit Classic. Here's the centre panel of the Boeing 737 Classic. Here's the layout for the Boeing 737 NG. On the NG 737, 6 LCD screens have replaced all the principal flying instruments, as well as all of the engine indications. This is referred to as a glass cockpit. Centre panel on the NG. Here's the view of the centre console on the NG version. Notice how uncluttered the displays are compared to the classic version. To keep the flight deck uncluttered, the lower display shows secondary engine indications. This is only used during engine start or will pop up automatically in the event of an engine exceedance. The red reminds the flight crew that there was an engine exceedance while the engine was running. Here's the mode control panel in the NG. And here's an overview of the Honeywell version of the mode control panel on the 737 NG. This is very similar to the Rockwell version. The most apparent difference is the shapes of the buttons. Notice that we have commanded the MCP to descend to an altitude of 2,000 feet with a vertical speed of 400 feet per minute. The right-hand side shows the course indicator and selector and the flight director selection switch, and also autopilot engagement switches. Here we have altitude selection of 29,000 feet, heading selector with an angle of bank limiter. Notice how VNAV and LNAV have been selected. This does not mean these modes are engaged. The pilot would need to check the flight mode annunciators on the primary flight display to confirm this. The left-hand side. Here we can see the heading indicator and angle of bank limiter, and the speed display and selections with the auto throttle switch. Electronic Flight Instrument System, EFIS. This presents a dynamic colour display of parameters necessary to control the flight path. It consists of the Electronic Attitude Director Indicator, EADI, and the Electronic Horizontal Situation Indicator, EHSI. The EADI is also referred to as the primary flight display. The EHSI is also referred to as the navigation display. EFIS Colours. Red indicates warnings and flight envelope and system limitations. Yellow or amber indicates cautions, abnormal sources, faults and flags. Green is engaged modes and dynamic conditions. Cyan or blue is non-active and background information, the sky. Magenta is command information, pointers, symbols and the fly to condition. White indicates present status situation, scales, armed flight mode displays. And black indicates blank areas and off conditions. The EFIS control panel for each pilot. This is used to control what information is displayed on the primary flight display and navigation display. Here in the NG, they're side by side. The EADI primary flight display. As we go around from the top, we can see the flight mode annunciators indicating autothrottle modes, pitch modes, roll modes and autopilot modes. To the right is the glide slope deviation scale. Bottom right, decision height and radio altitude. Attitude comparison alert. An inclinometer, which is not actually part of the instrument, on the bottom. And a localizer deviation scale. In the left corner is the ground speed and Mach number. And on the left, we can see the speed tape, which consists of the minimum operating speed, the calibrated airspeed, the airspeed trend, the selected target speed, engine out speed, 0, the minimum flap retract speed with the F, and going to the centre of the display, we can see course deviation indicators, pitch limit indicators, and a wind shear alert message, as well as the aircraft symbol and the ground and horizon. EADI display. Flight mode annunciations are displayed on the primary flight display. The actual location of the annunciations depends on the aircraft type. The flight director information is displayed on the primary flight display. Radio altitude is displayed below 2,500 feet and blanked above 2,500 feet. Radio altitude display changes from white to amber when below selected decision height on the descent. TCAS resolution advisories can be displayed on the EADI. Barometric pressure setting is displayed on the EADI. Boeing 737 primary flight display piloting information. At the top we can see the flight mode annunciators. On the right, the altitude tape and VSI. In the centre, in magenta, the flight director, displayed on the ADI itself. And on the left, the speed tape. White wording indicates the modes are armed. In this example, the pilots have armed the autopilot in order to capture the ILS localizer and glide slope. You can also see the localizer and glide slope indications, amongst other things. EFIS Control Panel. This is the minimum selector. This can be used to select either a barometric altimeter or radio altimeter referenced minimum. Here is a radio altimeter referenced minimum height, radio 100. Here is a barometric altimeter referenced minimum altitude, baro 402. The pressure setting area. This can be used to set the altimeter pressure setting in inches of mercury or hectopascals. The standard button enables the crew to quickly set 29.92 inches or 1013 hectopascals when cleared to a flight level. QNH of 1023 hectopascal has been set here. The yellow writing alerts the crew that there's a different pressure setting set on each pilot's side. Standard is set when you're cleared to a flight level. This is the navigation display screen selection. It has a selector to change the format of the navigation display and the scale of map and plan mode. You can also change what data is displayed on the map in terms of airports, terrain or weather, etc. The EADI has various displays which can be shown. This is plan mode, identified with a north reference. 1 is distance to the next active waypoint, 2 is current track, 3 is the heading pointer, 4 is magnetic true reference, 5 is the estimated time of arrival at the next active waypoint, 6 is the selected heading bug, 7 is the airport and runway, 8 is the active route, and 9 is the true north pointer. This screen can be used to display information regarding flight plan, terrain and TCAS symbols. Map mode. Item 1 is the distance to the next active waypoint. 2 is current track. 3 is the heading pointer. 4 is weather radar returns. 5 is weather radar range arcs. 6 is wind direction and speed. 7 is the estimated time of arrival at the next active waypoint. 8 is weather radar annunciations. 9 is magnetic true reference. 10 is the selected heading bug. 11 is the active LNAV route. 12 is the position trend vector. 13 is the vertical deviation scale and pointer. 14 is the position difference display. and 15 is the airplane symbol. This screen can be used to display information regarding flight plan, weather radar, terrain and TCAS symbols. Here's map mode. The current active waypoint is Barkway. The airport information is active. In VOR mode, we can see a departure from Stansted Airport. VOR 1 and VOR 2 can be selected and the aircraft route is shown with the magenta line.